Are you looking for cheap Chinese phones that work in the USA on 3G and LTE? Well, this is the right place because I'm going to give you the top 10 phones that work in the USA that are cheap and good and get 3G and LTE here in the USA. So a couple of quick things before we start. First, I want to mention that I highly recommend before you buy any of these phones, do check out www.cellmapper.net to make sure that you have the required network towers in your area to support these cell phones. And if you live in the country, it's going to be very difficult with regards to whether or not you're going to have those required network towers that support those network bands. But if you live in the city, it's going to be a lot easier than if you live out in the country. So the other thing I want to mention quickly is 3G in the USA. AT&T and T-Mobile, they use WCDMA 850 and 1900, and every single phone on this list supports both 850 and 1900. So that means every single phone on this list gets 3G. The problem is LTE, and that's where I'm going to tell you where they go right and where they go wrong. Number 10, the Xiaomi Redmi VA. This phone is very cheap. It costs just $93, and a lot of people reviewed it and everyone thinks it's a great phone. I think it's a great phone as well. So if you want to check it out, links in the description down below. Now, talking about the actual network bands, it's going to get 3G on AT&T and T-Mobile, no problem. With regards to the LTE bands, it's going to get AT&T and T-Mobile as well because you got bands 4 and bands 5, but it's not going to get anything on Sprint or Verizon because the LTE bands here are 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 20, and that has none of the bands required for Sprint or Verizon to work. So unfortunately, it's going to be an AT&T and T-Mobile only, no Sprint and Verizon. The next one on this list is actually fairly similar, and it's the Xiaomi Redmi 4X. I reviewed this phone. It's $130. It's pretty good value for money, but I have to say that with regards to the price to performance ratio, the next phone, or number 7 on this list, is going to be better. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the network connectivity. And to be honest, it's pretty much the exact same as the Xiaomi Redmi VA. 3G on AT&T and T-Mobile, and you got 4G on AT&T and T-Mobile because of bands 4 and 5, but no Sprint and Verizon. And here you got bands 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 20. So again, this is a good device, but let's talk about number 7 because I think it is a better option for any of you guys who are looking for a phone that is value for money and also works in the USA. Number 8, the Xiaomi Redmi 5. Now this is a very good phone. It's about $140, and I gotta say that with regards to the price to performance, this is a pretty sweet deal. I really highly recommend it to any of you guys who are looking for a good cell phone. It's 18:9, so it looks good. It looks fairly good. Doesn't look amazing, but it looks fairly good. And with regards to everything else, you know, the camera performance, battery, everything is decent to very good as well. With regards to network connectivity, again, like the previous 2 phones, you're gonna get 3G on AT&T and T-Mobile. With regards to 4G, you're going to get T-Mobile, AT&T, no problem because you got bands 4 and bands 5, so no problem, but you're not going to get any Sprint and Verizon. So that is one thing you have to be aware of. Again, links down below if you want to check it out. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7, the Xiaomi DigiS2 Lite. Now, there's actually a catch here. So I reviewed this phone. I thought it was a pretty decent phone. It's about $150, so it's not too expensive, but with regards to price performance, there are other phones out there that do beat this phone. The catch here with the Xiaomi DigiS2 Lite is, yes, it does get 3G on AT&T and T-Mobile, 4G LTE on AT&T and T-Mobile, no problem, no Sprint and Verizon, obviously. But the catch here is that those bands are not officially supported. Because if you're looking for this phone on a website to buy, you're not actually going to find the required network bands. It's going to say that it doesn't support the USA network bands. But when you do get it, Xiaomi Digi has actually unofficially enabled those bands without kind of advertising it. I think their reason is to save money. So you do get those network bands, it's just not enabled officially, which is something that is a risk. I do admit that, and if you don't want to take it, I completely understand as well. Anyway, links down below. Let's move on to the real number 6. Number 6, the Redmi Note 4. Now this, I really like this phone. I reviewed it. I thought it's great. This one, again, costs about $150, $160. Great price to performance ratio. It's pretty much good in pretty much every area, so it's very impressive. Again, with regards to network connectivity, you've got 3G on AT&T and T-Mobile, and with regards to 4G LTE, it's going to work on AT&T and T-Mobile, no Sprint and Verizon. Again, be sure to check out cellmapper.net for any of these phones just to make sure that the area you live supports these network bands as well. Links for this phone down below. Number 5, the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. This is literally pretty much the exact same phone as the Redmi Note 4, except it looks better. It's got an 18:9 display, and there's smaller bezels, doesn't look as ugly as the Redmi Note 4, and I really do recommend this over the Redmi Note 4. It costs a bit more money. It's about 170 bucks, so about $10 to $20 more than the Redmi Note 4. I think it's worth it for how much more compact and how much nicer looking it is than the Redmi Note 4, and how much more screen you get as well. With regards to the network connectivity, again, the exact same thing. 3G, you got AT&T and T-Mo. 4G LTE, you've got AT&T and T-Mo. No Sprint or Verizon because you got bands 4 and you got bands 5. And again, cellmapper.net, and links in the description down below. Now, number 4 is the Xiaomi Mi A1. And this one is a rather special case because I do recommend it and I don't recommend it at the same time. So number 1, why I don't recommend it is because it's 200 bucks. It has pretty much the exact same specs as the Redmi 5 Plus, the one before that. So you could be saving 30 bucks off the bat. And the thing is, the Mi A1 actually has a smaller battery as well. But what is the reason why I do recommend it? And that will be because the Xiaomi Mi A1 has stock Android. So stock Android is something that I absolutely love. And I really don't like Xiaomi's skin on top of Android, which is called MIUI. I really don't like it, and I really think that some people will think it's worth it to pay $30 more to get stock Android. Me, I'm a cheapskate, so I probably wouldn't do it. But if you think that it's worth $30 more, stock Android that is, then go right ahead. The Mi A1 is still a great device. With regards to network bands, same thing. 3G, you got AT&T and T-Mo. 4G, you got AT&T and T-Mo because the band's 4 and 5. No Sprint and Verizon. Cellmapper.net. Links in the description down below. Number 3, this one's a bit special, the Huawei Mate SE. And this, you don't have to worry about compatibility at all because this was made by Huawei specifically for the North American market. Again, it's gonna work on AT&T and T-Mobile, no question about that. And the good thing about this phone is that you can actually buy it from Amazon. So you do get some warranty support, better warranty support than what you would get than if you bought from a store in China where you gotta pay for return shipping, gotta wait a couple of months and all that kind of jazz. But with the Huawei Mate SE, it's actually a lot simpler to RMA if you do get a defective unit. And this again is a great phone. I have a lot of trusted reviewer friends who reviewed it and they all thought it's a great phone. So I do trust them. This is a good option if you want full compatibility with AT&T and T-Mobile. Number 2 is the Xiaomi DigiS1 Pro, and like the first Xiaomi Digi I introduced, this has the same problem. It does work on 3G and 4G LTE on AT&T and T-Mo because the band's 4 and 5. But the thing is, the required network bands are not officially stated on any website. It's only unofficially enabled once you actually get the phone. So again, that's a risk that you have to take if you want to get a phone like this. And the reason why I included this phone is actually not super good value for money. It's about $250. But the reason why I included this is because it has an AMOLED display. And I know some of you guys here actually like AMOLED displays. And if this is something that you're looking for, then this is a good option as well. It's not as good price to performance ratio, but they do get an AMOLED display. Number 1, the Smartisan Nut Pro 2. This is my daily driver. It's what I'm using right now, and it's gonna work in Canada and the USA as well. This is gonna work on 3G, no problem at all. AT&T and T-Mo, 4G LTE, AT&T and T-Mo, no problem. You got band 4 and band 5. It's not gonna work on Sprint, but it's gonna work on AT&T and T-Mo and any of the other, MVNOs that go underneath it as well. I highly recommend it. It's a bit more expensive than the other phones on this list. I will admit it's about 300 bucks on sale and 380, 400 bucks not on sale. And the thing about that is this phone has a Snapdragon 660, so that's a very good processor. And I really like it very much. I highly recommend it to anyone who doesn't want a Snapdragon 625 because they feel it's a little bit slow. So again, I really do recommend this phone. Again, cellmapper.net and links in the description down below. So what do you think? Did I miss anything? This kind of turned into a Xiaomi list, which is kind of funny, but that's kind of the nature of it because Xiaomi does support band 4 and band 5, so that's good. And it's really too bad that it does support AT&T and T-Mobile, but it doesn't support Sprint or Verizon. The thing I forgot to mention about all these phones is that it will work on any of the MVNOs or the resellers who use the AT&T and T-Mobile network, so no problems there if you want to use a prepaid carrier or an MVNO who is under the T-Mo or the AT&T umbrella. Again, be sure to check out cellmapper.net just to make sure that those towers that you need to work for these Chinese phones are close to or around your area. And And to be honest, if you're living in the city, it's not going to be much of a problem, but if you live in the country, that's going to be a little bit tougher as well. And remember, for AT&T and T-Mobile, for 3G, you need WCDMA 850-1900, and for LTE, for AT&T and T-Mobile, you're going to need bands 4 and bands 5 as well. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Which of these are your favorite phones, and whether I missed anything that could be a good addition to this list. Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and share this if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.